Mark Lewis, I'm sure you all know him, the epitome of a hybrid athlete and someone who's on a journey to be simply above average. He's a beast of a man and recently challenged an Olympic walker. Yes, walking is an Olympic sport. This guy, Tom Bosworth. And honestly, after watching this, I thought I'd love to give this shebang a crack. So this is exactly what I'm going to be doing. There's only one rule in this sport. It's super simple. One foot has to be touching the ground at all times. Basically, it's against the rules to be hovering, so to speak, which is what happens when you're running, like this here. And this is what often gives you that sort of distinct hip rotation while you're doing it. That's probably the best PG version way to say it. So Bosworth, he can run a mile in 5 minutes and 30 seconds. He is walking faster than most people can run. Like, I'm not even joking, genuinely. His PB 400 meter time, which is one lap around a running track, is 1 minute, 12 seconds. Again, faster than most people could sprint it. Now, if we compare this to, say, Mark's 400 meter walking time, he completed it in 2 minutes and 25 seconds. Quite the difference, but obviously you'd expect that. Now, this is where I wanted to come into the picture. How would I compare against him? Could I beat Mark? Could I get close to this Tom Bosworth guy? I am genuinely interested and intrigued by this, because I actually reckon I can give this a pretty good shot. I might be like, yeah, I could be an Olympic race walker. I highly doubt it, though. So, let's get into it.
So what pace is it you're running?
So that'll be munch. I think the pace that I want to be holding is probably going to be about 6 minutes. So it ends up being, I think, 3 minute 40 per kilometre pace. Look, Sabella say you can walk at that pace is just friggin' ridiculous. I don't actually know if it's possible. I feel like I'm going to be on the treadmill and get to a point where I'm falling over and landing on my face, which obviously isn't what I want to do. I don't want to kill myself doing this challenge. So it's finding a little balance between actually about to push myself and complete it versus starting the first 100 metres of the 400 way too fast, getting caught up and getting like smashed to the back of the treadmill and just dying. So I initially started with a little bit of a warm-up and did a few little strides and wanted to test out what sort of each different pace felt like, and got all the way up to 15, which is the equivalent to 4 minutes per kilometre pace. Now I knew when I got to 15 I was not going to be able to hold this for a full 400 metres. It was fast, I felt like I was going to trip up, and honestly it would have been a complete disaster for anything longer than a split second. I did however feel a little bit comfortable at that sort of 450 per kilometre pace and thought, you know what, I reckon I can hold this. So I went into the actual official 400 metre attempt, so to speak, with the idea, okay, 450 per kilometre pace is possible. The other thing that I found from watching actually Tom Bosworth run is that he heel strikes, so that all the force when he's landing is on the heel. Now for me, when I'm running, I'm sort of a mid to 4 foot runner, so I'm landing on this part of the shoe versus that part. I think if you really want to generate that power and speed, you've got to use that sort of heel strike to generate that and to push you forward. And I feel like I semi-mastered this after a ridiculous amount of practice. Let's get into this and do the 400 metres flat out. Now for the actual effort itself, and for the first 10 seconds, I was doing pretty good. I felt fluid, my legs were okay, but then the burn started to come. And when I say burn, I'm talking about a throbbing sensation up the side of my calves and shins. It was disgusting. Honestly, I've never felt anything like it. The muscle recruitment was so different to normal running. I was completely out of my depth, out of my comfort zone, and it just felt as if I'd never done this in my life, which is the truth. I've never done this before. It's so badly burning my legs. Jesus Christ, that was like my fascia bit. But for some reason I thought that my run fitness would translate to me being able to run or walk fast, and it just didn't. It was the biggest flop I've ever had in my life. I went into this with high expectations, and honestly I can see now why Mark found it so hard. 450 per K pace. When I was looking at it, it's like, oh, I better smash this. I was pretty naive, stupid, and I think the lesson learned here is that if you're not training for something, don't expect to be good at it, because your muscles, your body, your whole system is not going to be acclimatized to it. And yeah, you're probably going to disappoint yourself, as I did. Well, it's not really that disappointing. It was just a pretty fun, good challenge to do. But yeah, it was much, much harder than I first initially anticipated. And yeah, I sound like a bit of a fool now saying that, because at the beginning I was pretty confident in talking about being an Olympic race walker. Lesson learned, I won't be doing that again in any of my videos. My hips, my bum. Now, honestly, at this point, I was hanging on for absolute dear life. The burning was taken to an absolute another level. I was trying to implement that sort of rope pulling technique, which apparently gives you some good hip rotation, allows you to go faster. That's what Tom Bosworth was saying anyway. But honestly, at this point, I didn't know whether I was going to finish it or not. And I'd been absolutely obliterated by Bosworth's 1:14 per lap, I think it was. So I was never going to be catching him. It was now about whether or not I could hold off Mark Lewis. I kind of hoped that I would be able to do this. I've done. Woo! That was, oh my god. Like, the burning sensation here is literally like no joke. If I wanted to initially do this in 1:25, I think that drastically failed. I'm really glad I actually tried that. It was much, much, much harder than I first anticipated.
and I think it looks a lot easier than it is. I think half the problem though is your body's not used to it. Like I might do loads of running and I might be able to run relatively fast in the scheme of things, but doing race walking, again, recruitment of all different muscles, different stimulus on your body, so it's like you chucking yourself in the deep end. And I think you're going to have, if you wanted to do well at this, you obviously got to really condition your different muscles to get used to that stimulus and to that fatigue. The same thing if someone's never run before, they can't just go and run a marathon because their legs, their body isn't used to that. Yeah, you know, that was actually an awesome challenge. I'm really glad I've done it. If you've liked the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, that'd be greatly appreciated. Got loads of content coming your way, and yeah, awesome.